What if teleportation was possible? Imagine waking up in your comfortable bed, sunlight peeking through the curtains, the gentle hum of the world outside awakening all around you. You yawn and stretch, contemplating the start of a day filled with opportunities, challenges, routines, or adventures. Now, think about your typical morning routine. Brushing your teeth, grabbing coffee, perhaps packing a briefcase or a backpack. In your mind, you might begin to consider the time it will take to commute to work or school, the traffic on the roads, the crowded trains or buses, the patience required to get from one place to another. Until today, a revolutionary technology promises to reshape every moment of life as we know it. Today, teleportation is not science fiction. Today, it is possible. Teleportation. The word alone conjures images of distant worlds, instantaneous travel, bold new frontiers. But how would the world change if this remarkable feat of science was woven into everyday existence? Let us journey through the kaleidoscopic tapestry of a world unbound by the limitations of space and time, and imagine, step by step, what life might look like if teleportation was possible. The first and most obvious transformation would be in our relationship with distance. The concept of far becomes obsolete. The grand expanse of Earth, mountains separating countries, oceans dividing continents, remote villages isolated by forests or deserts, all collapse into a single, ever-accessible present. Imagine a family scattered across the globe by circumstance or ambition. With teleportation, a daughter living in Tokyo could share breakfast in Paris with her parents, then attend a business meeting in New York, all in the same morning, all without packing a single suitcase or enduring a minute of jet lag. The implications for global travel are profound. The airline industry, once the triumphant symbol of globalization and modernity, would quickly become a relic of the past. No longer would gleaming airports buzz with the constant flow of travelers. Instead, teleportation hubs might sprout in every corner of every city, from the busiest metropolitan centers to the smallest countryside villages. Sophisticated teleportation stations would handle the flow of individuals, facilitating their instantaneous journeys from one place to any other with surgical precision. But what about the impact on cities themselves? For centuries, cities have been shaped by the realities of transportation. People cluster around jobs, schools, amenities, and infrastructure. Teleportation obliterates the tyranny of distance. Suddenly, population centers might disperse outward, as people are no longer bound by proximity to jobs or services. Imagine living on a tranquil mountaintop, yet being moments from any workplace or social event. Suburbs and rural areas might swell with newcomers, drawn by the promise of serenity paired with ultimate convenience. The effects on commerce and trade would be similarly dramatic. In a teleportation-powered world, the barriers of expeditious shipping and transport disappear. The entire global supply chain is revolutionized. Goods could be produced anywhere and delivered instantly to where they are needed, eliminating warehouses, reducing inventory costs, and potentially erasing food spoilage and waste. A chef in Italy could have fresh Alaskan salmon, caught just moments ago, appear directly in her kitchen, ready to be served to a waiting guest. Businesses and corporations would undergo rapid transformation. The notion of office headquarters would be upended. Why centralize talent in a single location when teams could genuinely be global, meeting face-to-face in instants, regardless of where members reside? International collaborations would become seamless, no longer constrained by the cost and complexity of bringing people together. Education, too, would be revolutionized. No longer would students be divided by geography. A learner from a rural African village could attend lectures at Oxford in the morning and join a project group in Buenos Aires by the afternoon, all without leaving home. The sharing of knowledge and culture would reach unprecedented levels of interconnectedness, nurturing the exchange of ideas and broadening perspectives beyond borders. And perhaps most powerfully, relationships would thrive in ways previously unimaginable. Loved ones separated by distance, by borders, by oceans, by war, or by life's unpredictable circumstances, could remain meaningfully present in one another's lives. The sorrows of separation and longing would be alleviated. Grandparents could watch their grandchildren grow up day by day, even from opposite sides of the planet. Long-distance relationships, youths, would no longer be bound by longing for shared presence, as every moment could now be spent together, no matter the span of the globe. Yet, as with every blessing, teleportation would come with challenges and consequences, some foreseen, and others entirely unexpected. Security and privacy present the first line of complication. How would nations, cities, or homes safeguard their boundaries when physical travel is instant and untraceable? Just as encryption protects our digital lives, advanced barriers, perhaps akin to teleportation firewalls, would be required, granting or denying access and monitoring who goes where and when. The concept of visas, passports, and border control would be transformed, forcing nations to dramatically rethink how they regulate movement within and across their sovereign domains. Law enforcement and criminal justice would face unprecedented hurdles. With the ability to instantly traverse great distances, the notion of a getaway takes on a whole new meaning. Lawmakers would need to develop new systems of tracking, accountability, and perhaps even digital identification tied to each teleportation event. The specter of misuse, terrorism, theft, espionage, places intense pressure on the development of robust ethical and security frameworks. On a more everyday scale, even the simple sanctity of a private moment could be at risk. Imagine a world where anyone could appear anywhere, instantly. Social etiquette, consent, and privacy would need to evolve at a rapid pace. Dropping by would need clear boundaries, with virtual locks and permissions on our homes and spaces, to ensure that not every visit is unwelcome or unannounced. Economically, entire sectors would be fundamentally restructured, even rendered obsolete. The travel and hospitality industries would wither or dramatically shift focus. Air travel, rail, road, shipping, all could be relegated to history's museum, as would countless jobs and professions built around the old world of movement and transportation. New industries would rise. Those who design, maintain, regulate, and provide teleportation infrastructure and services would flourish. Cultural identity and heritage could be both enriched and challenged. The unique rhythms and flavors of local life, traditional foods, dialects, rituals, could be commercialized or diluted as constant influxes of newcomers reshape the social fabric. Small towns might become overnight tourist meccas, their intimacy and customs exposed to the broader world. Alternatively, teleportation could help sustain endangered cultures, as diaspora communities instantly gather for festivals, rituals, and ceremonies, bridging the gaps that once threatened their cohesion. On a larger scale, the environment stands to gain significant benefits. The carbon footprint of travel, shipping, and transport would be slashed. The skies would clear, oceans would be spared the scars of shipping lanes, wildlife would reclaim areas currently dominated by cars, trains, and planes. Urban planners might remake cities, tearing up highways and runways, planting green spaces, and restoring ecosystems once sacrificed for movement. All the while, humanity's sense of time would undergo a subtle but powerful shift. The anticipation of journeys, long hours spent traversing the world, the bittersweet loneliness of the travel, the daydreams gazing out of train windows, might disappear. The journey, that liminal space between places, could be lost entirely, replaced by the sheer efficiency of arrival. Would we miss the experiences of the in-between, the serendipity of chance encounters on trains, the reflective solitude of solitary travel, the sense of accomplishment after a long and arduous journey? Would teleportation, for all its gifts, rob us of something essential? Time spent discovering, learning, connecting in the spaces between? How would human health change in such a world? Today, our bodies are shaped by movement. We bike, walk, drive, clamber onto buses, lug suitcases, hail cabs, hustle for trains. Our lives are stitched with activity. Teleportation's convenience could nudge us into greater inactivity. The very movements encoded into our muscles, joints, and hearts to get us from one place to another could diminish. potentially giving rise to a host of new health challenges. Conversely, the time freed from commutes could be reinvested into purposeful exercise, leisure, and self-care, nurturing healthier habits in a time-rich society. The psychology of place and presence would be upended. The world would shrink in our perception. Exotic destinations, remote islands, ancient ruins, bustling city squares would become casual everyday sights. The sense of awe that once accompanied arrival in a faraway land might fade. When the world is so easily at your fingertips, what does it mean for the value of experience? Would rarity and effort still define the specialness of a place, or would we discover new ways to appreciate, revere, and preserve our world? Imagine the possibilities for crisis response and humanitarian aid. When disasters strike, a hurricane devastates a coastal city, an earthquake rattles a mountain town, war displaces entire communities, help could arrive instantly. Medical teams, supplies, evacuations, volunteers, all delivered at the speed of thought. Suffering could be alleviated more quickly, lives saved, wounds tended. The ponderous logistics that too often delay help would be a thing of the past. Human compassion, augmented by instantaneous action, could transform the outcomes of every crisis on Earth. Yet, with great power comes the fear of inequality. If teleportation became a privilege reserved for the wealthy or powerful, the divides between the teleportable and those left behind could deepen. Access to teleportation would need to be protected, ensuring it is not just a luxury for the few, but a transformative utility for all. Governments, communities, and citizens would debate, legislate, and fight for the right to move freely, fairly, and securely. Entire new frontiers would open for explorers and scientists. The most remote, dangerous, or inaccessible corners of Earth, which took great risk, planning, and sacrifice to visit, could be reached and studied effortlessly. Conservationists could monitor endangered habitats. Archaeologists could unearth secrets of lost civilizations. Astronomers could build observatories atop untouched peaks, all with unprecedented speed and coordination. And stepping beyond our own planet, the wild dream of traveling to the stars could edge closer to reality. If teleportation technology could be extended, or if the theoretical limits of quantum entanglement, wormholes, or other mechanisms could be harnessed, humanity could instantaneously reach other planets, moons, and distant worlds. The age-old yearning to explore the cosmos would be set aflame. As every barrier is toppled, every frontier opened. In such a transformative world, laws and ethics would be paramount. What does it mean to belong in a place? How do we define citizenship, community, or nationality when borders become metaphysical rather than geographical? Would new forms of identity emerge, grounded not in soil and state, but in affinity, interests, and chosen communities scattered across the planet? Yet, for all the sweeping changes, some things would remain deeply, profoundly human. The desire for home, the place where our hearts feel at rest, the comfort of familiar faces, the warmth of community, the rituals of daily life. In a world where teleportation is possible and distance is no longer a boundary, connection would still be at the center of our existence. The challenge and the opportunity would be to harness this miraculous new freedom to nurture deeper, more meaningful relationships with each other, with our planet, and with the cosmos beyond. Of course, teleportation, in the most literal and scientific sense, is riddled with paradoxes and technical conundrums. Would your molecule-for-molecule reconstruction remain identical? What about the uniqueness of consciousness, the experience of self? Philosophers and physicists would grapple with these questions, perhaps rekindling ancient debates in the light of newfound possibilities. But setting aside the physics, let us dream, for a moment, of the stories that would bloom. A family, once sundered by war, reunited in an embrace. Old friends, scattered by the winds of life, reunited on a sunlit hillside, as if no years have passed. Lovers, separated by continents, sharing a midnight walk under a foreign sky. An artist, inspired by the sights and sounds of distant cultures, bringing new colors to her work. A healer, delivering urgent medicine to a patient halfway across the world. just in time. A teacher, planting seeds of knowledge in a student whose life is changed forever. A traveler, once fearful, discovering courage in the ability to be anywhere and everywhere. Stories would abound, as diverse and numerous as the stars. Teleportation, then, is not just a matter of moving bodies through space. It is an invitation for humanity to reimagine everything we know about life, work, love, leisure, and meaning. It compels us to reevaluate our values, our systems, and our vision for the future. It asks us to ask, again and again, where do we wish to go? What do we hope to discover? Who do we desire to become? At night, as you drift towards sleep, imagine that tomorrow, and every tomorrow after, is unshackled by distance. The familiar rhythm of footsteps on a journey might disappear, but 1,000 journeys would be possible, each chosen with intention and care. The world closes in, intimate and accessible, while at the same time expanding beyond imagination, as every horizon is unveiled and every possibility is opened, not by the tyranny of time, but by the power of will. The future waits, limitless, unbounded. A tapestry woven not by the miles between us, but by the dreams and desires within us. If teleportation was possible, the greatest journey undertaken would not be from one place to another, but from who we are to who we might become amidst a world suddenly, forever transformed.